Welcome back to the Racial Draft Podcast. I am your host, Michael Terrell Ford III. We are not joined by our somewhat regular, somewhat irregular co-host Marquis, but we do have fine guests this week. We have from the FCL Fantasy Comics League, Shaun Martineau. Shaun, say what's up to the people.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. And we're also joined by the front runner, the number one drafter in the racial draft, Frankia from the Multiracial team. Frankia, say what's up.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind. Comics on my mind. I can never give it up. I just got a little remix for you. But yeah, multiracial team captain here in the building. What's up? What's up? What's up?
And Kia does have room to crow right now because we are coming off the first week of scoring the teams as drafted. 12 rounds we went in the racial draft. And right off the bat, the multiracial team put up some points. Shaun, why don't you give a little breakdown of that FCL Fantasy Comics League for those uninitiated?
So the Fantasy Comic League is a tracking system that is applied to both Marvel and DC for the purpose of the racial draft that allows us to basically pit heroes against each other in competition. We track them on things like save civilians, their use of powers, if they team up, if they lead teams. It's a good time.
Yeah, and in much the same way that fantasy sports tracks what happens in games, fantasy comics tracks what happens in the books. So, obviously you can get some kind of insight into what might happen based on previous storylines, but you never really know what's going to happen from week to week in the panels. And then the panels are how things get scored. And this week, we had the 16th pick in the draft. She, known as Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, put up 41 points in our Fantasy Comics League scoring system. Obviously, this is the first time we're playing with this format, but that's a pretty lofty record. The second place scorer was Batman, and everyone loves Batman, and Batman only put up 31 points. So carrying Kia's team to 94 total points in that first round. in this first week. And Kia, I know you want to get some bragging in, so keep it going.
Oh, I will. Just continue. It's just so hard to see you guys from way up here. Like, hold on. Let me put my glasses on real quick. Oh, there you are. I couldn't see you, Mike. I just want to, thank myself, for the great picking I did. Also, those that picked in the polls, I do owe you guys because, I think Wonder Woman was in the polls.
Oh, yes, she was.
Yeah, and so if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have got Wonder Woman, and I wouldn't be winning.
Now, famously, you keep your backstories close to the vest, but I feel like now that you're out in front, would you like to, maybe say a little bit more about your racially drafted Wonder Woman?
Well, I believe she was everything but white.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yes.
You did leave Caucasian out of Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah.
Sorry, Shaun, but not sorry. Because I think that week you took Blade, right? I think it was the same.
That feels right.
Yeah, I feel like yeah. So I think there was a little like whitewash.
And for the record, Blade put up 0 points this week.
Blade, the book got canceled, so
that's what happens when Blade becomes white. No points.
Now that's cancel culture for you. Appropriation and cancellation. But actually, this was a weird week as far as some of the bigger names not putting up major points. You could speak to that as far as the major storylines happening right now, Shaun.
Well, hold on. I'm pulling up my notes from this week again because I kind of just want to take a look at that. The big thing, because what I've been doing for like the past 6 hours is been prepping the Fantasy Comic League preview charts for August, and like I'm shocked. Spider-Man usually like he's the king of guest appearances, but usually he's got like 7 appearances for sure guaranteed. And this month he's only got 3, you know?
Yeah.
He's legging pretty hard. Meanwhile, Captain America over on the multiracial team
Yeah.
has got 9. He's leading it in the Marvel. So you've got the top Marvel scorer. I've got him at possibly by Fantasy Comic League standards, which is much more restrictive. I've got him scoring 50 points possibly. So who knows what's looking for you next month.
Now this is in the whole month though. This isn't next week though, right?
No, yeah, that's a whole month. And also 50 points in the Fantasy Comic League could look very different the amount of points you're getting in the racial draft.
Yes, one. We have sort of minor distinction. We score a little bit more points. I like to say it's akin to how in fantasy football there's points per reception. So you can get a little bit more scoring under those systems than for like the standard scoring. We open it up for a lot of opportunities, and again, it paid off because Wonder Woman appeared in 3 books and I think 14 points in 2 of her appearances and 13 in her other appearance. And that's how she got her 41 points. So, I mean, there are points to be had if someone puts up mega performances. I do expect in the coming weeks, and I know you're mostly tracking Marvel, but I think DC, there's a Batman-centric event. And I got to think that a lot of the Bat family characters are going to make their presence felt under this storyline.
What a time to jump into DC. Like, we're in the middle of Joker War.
Shaun, I think we lost you for a second. Uh-oh. Well, Kia, this is a good opportunity for you to talk a little more trash while we're waiting for Shaun to come back.
Well, I mean, I understand that Shaun is speechless, and that's why he probably, went out on us. But, I mean, it tickles me pink to know that I probably know the least about comics, and yet I am the front runner.
Yeah. Now they just started a new creative team on Wonder Woman, so I would actually urge you to pick up the most recent comic. I believe it's Wonder Woman 756, but don't quote me. I'll look it up. Oh, I think I lost Kia. Hopefully they'll be back.
No, I'm here.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I'm gonna look at what issue that was. Wonder Woman 759. 759. The new writer Mariko Tamaki is writing the hell, and I forgot the name of the person doing the art, but it's a great looking book and it's a great storyline. It's actually a good jumping off point for the character. She's moving into a new city. I think that's my understanding of what's going down. So typically when these new storylines start off, they like to start with a bunch of action, and this wasn't an exception. So I think that there's probably going to be more action to come next month. But what that might mean is that with this big week with all those appearances, she might have a couple weeks off before she puts up another big week.
Well, as a woman, I see that she's done her job. She's put in the work, she's put in the time, she's putting in the effort. So she deserves a rest.
Right, and sometimes you have a big week, and then you need a month, and then he comes back a month later, and then you're having another big week. That's from what I hear.
Yeah.
But Shaun, we lost you for a little bit, so would you like to talk a little bit more about the storylines in DC?
No, I was just gonna say, what a time! I'm barely reading any DC. I got my Dick Grayson content, and that's about it.
Oh, okay. See, I just jumped into the new Suicide Squad book, and that's
that one.
Yeah, that's a pretty fun book. Tom Taylor is writing a nice little storyline. I mean, the only Suicide Squad members that you might remember from sort of the classics are Deadshot, Harley Quinn, and there was an appearance by Captain Boomerang. But it's largely a whole brand new cast of characters. So not necessarily a lot of racial draft relevance with the exception of Harley Quinn. She had a quiet week this week, but I do expect that Harley Quinn's going to show up and make some big moves, especially with all the DC digital books that they have going on.
And I just want to point out, she is also on the multiracial draft.
No, I know.
Team.
I was setting that up for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You know,
just wanted to throw that out there.
You know,
just in case anybody forgot.
And what was Harley's background when you drafted her?
Yeah, let me get back to you on that one.
That was Hardy Q.
Oh yes, it was It was like Cardi B, the Cardi B. Harley.
Oh yes, it was. Oh yes, it was Cardi B. So she was like Trinidadian and yeah, I think Dominican as well.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So just imagine Harley out there, you know, in the bloody shoes, you know.
Ow, ow.
And what that probably means is that, you know, we should probably go team by team. You know, obviously we know that you scored 94 points, but there were other teams in this draft, other teams in this competition, so to speak.
Were there though? Were there?
I mean, in a manner.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'll tell you that much.
So I mean, I may as well do it in ascending order. Our friends over at the Black team, they put up 1 point this week.
Who was their app?
It was Reverse Flash. He appeared in a panel, in a flashback. And,
y'all are welcome for your point.
Yeah, and that's it was so Reverse Flash got that point. The Polynesian team, they got 7 points. Their big scorer, their top scorer was Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff. The Jewish team, they put up 11 points, and their top scorer was Starfire.
That's right, Jewish team. Whoop whoop.
They were followed by the white team, who put up, the white team actually put up more points, 12 points. And your top score, I believe, was the Flash. Was it not, Scott? Was it not, Sean?
I mean, that makes sense. I don't know. I don't know what my team looks like. I'm multiple plates up in the air right now, trying to put as much time where I can.
And I do want to point out, I have to give respect to the white team because I know they're gonna eventually come through with a lot of points. So I'm not sleeping on you guys. I see.
Oh no, I'm not. All half my team, their books have been canceled.
Oh.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I
still believe in you.
You're heavily invested in the Bat family, so you'll get some there. But so you Flash put up 6 points for you. There was Forge, Reed Richards each put up 2 points, and Superboy put up 2 points in the Legion of Super.
I was quite happy when I was reading and Forge showed up. I was like, nice. I'm gonna at least get a point from Forge.
Mm-hmm. And you know he shows up a fair amount in the X-Force books. So I think
he was an unknown quantity.
Yes, definitely. But you know, I do wonder about your Alex Wilder pick. Do we know when Runaways is coming back?
No clue.
But I think we should expect bigger things from the white team in future weeks. Not surprising was the Native American team being carried by Spider-Man, who scored all 17 of their points. So Peter Parker's out there holding the team, carrying the team on his back. One move that is definitely going to come back to haunt the Native American team is that they passed on drafting Venom in order to draft Carnage. And Venom is getting a lot of appearances, and he's got a lot of events coming up. But he's sitting out there undrafted. So that's very.
That stinks. So he's kind of out there with the Crow, pretty much.
And not the crow.
And
that brings us to our top tier. although I guess it's more like the top tier and then the 1B tier, because the favorites in a lot of people's books to win it all finished third this week, and that's the Latinx team with 44 points. Most notably held 30 of those points came by way of Superman Clark Kent. He was definitely putting up major power points. And I guess that's what the top tier has in common. They all have Trinity players, because the Asian team had most of their scoring come by way of Batman, and as we mentioned before, the multiracial team got their scoring by way a big chunk of their scoring by way of Wonder Woman. So the lesson here is that DC Trinity scoring a lot more points than the whatever we.
Not only that, but as like each member of the DC Trinity as well is the respective head of their family / part of the universe.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's really helping them is that DC has rolled out those digital first books. So it's like they're getting double the opportunities to score.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I suppose if we had known exactly how deep that line was going to run, there would have been a lot more DC characters drafted. Although maybe not, because this is super top heavy. There were a lot of DC characters that didn't score at all.
It'll be. I mean, I want to know what Marvel characters, because DC has an unfair advantage. I want to know what Marvel characters are going to put out the same kind of input. Because I think Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Captain Marvel.
Yeah. And Wolverine. I mean, I think this is an
Wolverine.
uncharacteristic down week for Wolverine, only putting up 1 point and 1 appearance. As we know, with so Spider-Man will pop up in a book out of nowhere across any family, but Wolverine can do the same. You can see him in an Avengers book. You can see him even in a cosmic book. He's all over the place. He's in Savage Avengers this week. In Savage Avengers, the full lineup didn't show up, so they didn't get a Wolverine appearance. But I imagine that between his solo book, between hanging around with the Summers family, between being friends with Cap and the Punisher and those guys, I think we're going to see. Oh, and who can forget it? I think the next Fantastic Four book is due to have Spider-Man and Wolverine in it, aren't they?
It actually, that storyline's already in the middle, and next issue will have the Hulk and Johnny Blaze.
Right. So it's
native delegation to their big players.
That's right.
Which is good, because Johnny Blaze's book got canceled, so this might be the only points he's bringing in for them.
Well, I mean, as far as ghostwriters go, he's often viewed as one of the more popular ones. So I can see him popping up now as a freelancer. I can see him popping up in maybe a Doctor Strange. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Robbie in the Avengers books, but I wouldn't be surprised if Johnny popped up again in that.
I just hope Cyclops, just pops in somewhere.
Yes,
Okay, I was going to talk about this. Okay, so I've been looking at because like all of Empire has been crunched into this month and next month. Mm-hmm. Like there's so much Empire coming out next month. It's almost all of Marvel's lineup.
Right. And actually, I mean, we should probably take a little bit of a step back for the people who are not closely following the Marvel books. Would you like to give a little quick recap of the Empire events for the listeners?
The Empire event is basically the Kree and the Skrull have come together to defeat this plant race called the Kotai.
Kotati, right, I believe.
Okay, well, I'm going with Kotati, whatever. And the Avengers decide to defend the Kotati against this alliance until it is revealed that, in fact, the Kotati are trying to destroy the universe. And because the Avengers defended them, it gave them enough of a stronghold that they can launch their attack. So now the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and the Kree Skrull Empire are trying to stop them, and Earth is one of their main battlegrounds.
Right. And what that has led to is an event that even includes the X-Men. you know.
Yes. And that was what I was going to talk about, because I've been looking at it, and what I think is really impressive is the X line has spread out its characters quite well among their various tie-ins. Wolverine's not even in the X corner right now. He's playing with Fantastic Four. Cyclops and Magneto, it seems like, are going to be leading the main assault in the X-Men book.
Nice.
And then Magic, Polaris, and Angel are going to be key players in the event tie-in book, which will also deal with Scarlet Witch.
Right. And a lot of people have been looking forward to the first interaction between Scarlet Witch and the now Krakoa-bound X-Men, because she's known around those parts as the Pretender.
Mm-hmm. But what's interesting is I don't think Magneto's going to show up a lot in Magic's book, and I don't think Magic will show up at all in Magneto's book. So if the X-Men are getting split into two different battlefields, it will probably allow more time for more characters to shine, is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I can see
that. Or Magneto appears a million times and gets a ton of points.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I mean,
of course, you have Magneto too, don't you?
Yes, right. I do.
Magneto and Captain America are the top scorers next month from Marvel. Like, nobody's really... I guess Spider-Woman. But it's Captain America, Magneto, and Spider-Woman are the top scorers next month.
Did anybody draft Spider-Woman?
No, she showed up in polls, but she ended up...
poll.
Yeah, she was in your poll, but she ended up not winning out. Barbara Gordon was ended up being who the people chose. But yeah, that's, I mean, I think it was you pointed out the fact that with the Quiet Council, you're guaranteed to get, 1 or 2 points just when they go to that conference room and they show everyone sitting around the table governing.
Mm-hmm.
And we got that in the new book X Factor, which is another high recommend. Kia, you might like this book. It's a brand new #1, so you don't need to know a lot of. I suppose you need to know what's sort of the general goings on with the X-Men, but they do a pretty good job. Excuse me, they do a pretty good job of recapping what's been going on in the X-Men world. But it's a fun book. There's a lot of quirkiness, and Sean, I imagine you read X Factor. Were you a fan?
Yeah, a huge fan. Especially Wolverine's son Dakin is in it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's basically just trying to charm everyone out of their clothes. And it's good time.
Yeah. They pretty much, they reinvented Wolverine's son from being angry all the time to being angry a lot of the time, but definitely trying to bone. He's deep.
So he's trying to share the peen.
Yeah.
But one of the things I loved about the issue, everybody used their powers in creative ways.
Yeah.
Like, they have a guy on the team called iBoy, and they're like able to harness his super sight in a way that, like, iBoy is a joke. He never gets to do anything, and they actually used him proper.
Yeah.
What was he doing? Looking through people's clothing?
He was, that would not be out of place. But no, he had to look deep underwater and tell Magneto's daughter where to pull shit out from the water.
Oh, okay.
Right. And yeah, Leah Williams is a very underrated writer, and I hope she shines on this, because a lot of people were waiting for this book, and I think a lot of people, I don't think anyone was disappointed when they read it. So that's our little corner of comic recommendation. There weren't a lot of main characters who were scoring in our racial draft, but some of the well-known X characters were made guest appearances in the book, and I feel like that'll continue.
Me too.
Although
they're going to Mojoverse, that's where they're heading. So maybe not, because they'll be pretty isolated.
Oh yeah, nobody drafted Longshot. Maybe in a future draft, Longshot will show up, because that's a fun character. Now, what would you say are some other notable books that we need to keep an eye on, Sean?
Okay, so like I said, Marvel's line is very condensed right now, and I'm going to speak to Marvel because I know it better than DC. The X-Men line, the Empire and its tie-ins. Amazing Spider-Man is double shipping because it's going through a big storyline right now called Sin's Rising, where the Sin Eater is back, and it's also pulling in a bunch of his Spider family characters like Jessica Drew, Miles Morales, Gwen Stacy.
Also Silk, right? Cindy Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the Asian delegation is hoping that we get a little Silk because Silk didn't put up any points for them this week. It was definitely they got their scoring and they're out of their top picks. They got a little bit of Human Torch, but they didn't get a lot of some of the big names put up donuts. Dick Grayson, Winter Soldier, Ms. Marvel, Lex Luthor. These are some well-known comic book names that didn't do anything for them. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I imagine all of those things will change.
Yeah, I mean, the end of the month versus the start of the month.
Right. Speaking of Marvel storylines, you said that it's mostly Empire. It's a little bit of X-Men. There's the Spider-Man Sin's Rising, and you've been reading Daredevil, haven't you?
Yeah.
Do you? I mean, spoilers for people not current on Daredevil, but our friendly neighborhood guest star found his way into recent books. Do you see something like that continuing?
Over the course of this run, Peter Parker's probably shown up 4 or 5 times. So there is a possibility, but it does really seem like Matt Murdock is getting real tired of Peter Parker showing up. So if it didn't happen again, I wouldn't be shocked either.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, I suppose Elektra's also involved in that book, tends to be.
Elektra's more likely to show up.
Yeah, and that's the Native American team. So they're going to need a little bit more than just Spider-Man if they want to make some noise in the league or in the scoring, as it were.
Well, they've also got Hulk, who's like there's like the main books, and then there's only like 3 or 4 solos that are kind of not tied to a story that are continuing right now, and Immortal Hulk is one of those.
Right. And now I can't remember the Immortal She-Hulk book. Is that due to come out soon, or is it still a couple of months off?
I think it's still a couple months off.
Okay.
It's a one-shot, right?
That was my understanding, that it's a one-shot. I mean, right now we just missed out on some major scoring opportunities for She-Hulk because she was able to. I imagine you guys would have counted that as a character development, that She-Hulk regained her personality and she's less hulky right now, right?
I know I fought for it, and I think we did, but I don't remember exactly what the ruling was.
Okay.
Because the temporariness of it was where Brian was coming from, where he was like, it's going to be very temporary for this event. And I was like, it's still relevant, though. So I think we went with it.
Yeah, it's notable enough, right? I mean, it's a big part of her run in the Avengers book has been grappling with that aspect, the out of control nature. And at least for this run, she's kept under control and she's back to the Jen that we kind of know and love.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope it sticks.
I don't think it will. I don't think the Immortal Hulk is coming because that's about to stick.
Well, I mean, it's a one shot, right? So it could just be a thing that happens before she goes back to being Jen.
I would really like it if Al Ewing, after he's done Hulk, wrote She-Hulk.
I want Al Ewing to write an Avengers book, or the Avengers book rather, because he has written an Avengers book before. Avengers and or Fantastic Four, preferably both.
I feel like that's not going to happen because Jason Aaron, like all of Jason's or Aaron's stories so far have been set up.
Yeah, I know.
So we've still got at least the back half of his run to go.
Yeah, he's all foreplay.
He's like, hey, Jonathan Hickman, I'm going to make you look like an amateur.
I mean, did they tell him that he's going to get 8 years on this Avengers book? Because I feel like he's writing like he doesn't have to deliver any payoff.
I think he knows it's a safe bet. I mean, it's Jason Aaron, right? And all he's writing really for them right now is Avengers, and yet he's delivered most of their greatest hits, him and Hickman, over the past half a decade.
But he's been mostly, but it's been Thor and Doctor Strange, right?
Yeah, so now he's just like, I want this book where I can do whatever I want in the Marvel universe with the main characters, and I'm just gonna fuck around.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, that Moon Knight storyline. I'm sure that Annie over there at the Jewish team is wish that book had come out a week later, because I imagine he put up a lot of points. He's been putting up a lot of points these last couple issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he wasn't on my radar at all.
It's because Avengers comes out once a month, and it's the only place Moon Knight shows up, you know?
Right.
And eventually the storyline is not going to be about Moon Knight. I think it's going to be, in the end, T'Challa's storyline. It really looks like it's heading that way.
I mean, he definitely played a big role in this most recent issue. I know there was a rumor back in the day that there would be some connection in the MCU between Moon Knight and T'Challa. That would be an interesting direction to take. Kind of, if we are imagining that there's a Moon Knight, there isn't a Moon Knight series coming, that tying it to the different gods might be a direction that they'd go.
That would be cool.
Trying to look at some of the other players on the Jewish team. Apocalypse, of course. As long as there are still X books, Apocalypse still has the opportunity to do things. Jean Grey, it's probably the same thing. Do we think Jean will show up in Empire at all?
Okay, you read X-Men 10. You saw how that ended. It ended with the letter from Scott basically being like, we'll be back home around supper. Think about how much shit has happened over the course of that day, and that is what Jean Grey, Rachel Grey, Cyclops, and Cable are coming back to. That could be an issue in and of itself.
That's true. And let's see, Cable, that's you and the multiracial team. You've also got Cyclops. Jean is the Jewish team, and maybe even a little bit of Wolverine.
Oh yeah, because he's there with family, because he's got to be along for all outings now.
Right. Which I still got to figure out how timelines work in the X world, because
And maybe even Mystique as well. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, please please interject. Mystique is weirdly still hanging around with the Quiet Council, even though she's plotting to bring down the X-Men. But that storyline probably won't pay off until, if not the end of the year, the beginning of the new year.
I'm going to say, everyone's expecting Mystique to do something super sinister. She's just filibustering everything so nothing gets accomplished.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. Speaking of sinister, I imagine he'll play a bigger role in the Hellion series.
I have Sinister for 3 appearances next month. There's a Hellions book, and then I figure there's a strong enough chance with Quiet Council and with the event that he's going to show up, but I don't imagine he'll do much.
That's true.
He's fantastic.
But I mean, listen, he was a 12th round pick, and he's putting up more points than some people's first round picks. And how is Namor doing? What do you have planned for Namor?
I got Jack all planned for Namor. He has 1 appearance. He's going to be fighting Conan this month.
Oh wow, Conan.
Oh yeah, Conan the Barbarian is in the Marvel universe.
With this little, like, what are they, like, not rabbits, but what do you call them, weasels? What were those Conan, like, little, like, guys that would just, like, hop out of his little, like, man satchel and, like, help him, like, get out of something if he was tied up?
I have no idea what
ferrets.
Are you talking about the Schwarzenegger?
No, the ferrets. Conan had ferrets, right?
Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, he had ferrets.
Which one?
I don't
We're
know.
talking about in the books or in the movies?
I think in the movies, but it could have been the books as well.
Okay, I have no idea.
I
I
have
know very little about Conan.
me as well. I mean, with the exception of him, the movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and an occasional sword swinging. Yeah, I don't know a lot about Conan. I've been trying to read him in Savage Avengers. I don't get it. I don't get his appeal.
Okay, Reed, actually talking about Jason Aaron again. He did a 12-issue Conan run, and it chronicled the life of Conan. The first issue is revealed Conan's about to die. That's the cliffhanger. And then you kind of follow him through his life leading up to this point. There's some really good stories. There's one where he has like a tiger
Mm-hmm.
and he becomes king. And because he's king, he can't go out killing people, and it just drains him. And so when crime rises in his city, he goes out as a vigilante with his tiger, and they basically kill off all the criminals. And then the tiger starts to die because it can't live like this. So Conan lets his one friend in the world go because he's like, I won't have you die to keep me company.
Interesting.
And then it's just
Aww.
Conan miserable on the throne.
Wow. So I imagine that this is what. So Aaron wrote this before he wrote Thor.
Yeah, he did. Or he wrote this after Thor. He started this right around the time he started Avengers, and it only ran for 12 issues.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll check that out on Marvel Unlimited. Free plug for Marvel Unlimited. So what do you see happening with Deadpool in the coming month?
Deadpool, I've got 3 appearances.
Yes.
He's going to be in the Strike Force finale. I don't imagine he'll do much, but whatever's going down in Strike Force is happening on his little island.
Right.
He's X-Men. He's evading Krakoa, or they're coming to him. Either way, Deadpool versus the X-Men.
Right.
And then Deadpool is using Kid Cable for the first time, which is both of Keenan's character. God,
I think I killed it. Like, I mean, if everybody wants to tap out now,
it's got like 3 key characters in it.
I mean, if everybody just wants to tap out now, I wouldn't judge them. I'm just saying.
Oh man, this is awesome. But yeah, we're gonna see Deadpool and Cable hanging out together. That ought to be fun. But yeah, I mean, Deadpool's a fun character, and he should you know, we do score for fourth wall breaking, don't we?
Yes.
So there we go. That's points right there, because he's always breaking the fourth wall.
That's my favorite word, points.
But yeah, looking at the multiracial team, it's hard to imagine. Maybe Hal Jordan is your potential for zeros, but everyone else is going to give you points.
No, Hal Jordan's going to get her points. Hal Jordan's got 2 comics coming out next month. I'm looking at the team right now. Your weakest is...
Who was my last pick? Quote unquote.
Mystique is your weakest character. Okay, I was going to go through everybody's teams and give them a value of 0 to 4 or 0 to 3. 3 being, your Spider-Mans, your Wonder Womans, your Batmans, and then 0 being the Black Delegation.
Oh.
There's no zeros on Kia's team. There's Mystique is maybe a 1, but she's got a strong potential to be a 2 if she decides to show up.
Mm-hmm.
You have unknown quantities, but you have no weak characters.
It pretty much sounds like my actual life, like this is who I am. My team is a reflection of who I am as a person. Okay, continue.
Like Miss Marvel's not going to show up. Shang-Chi's not going to show up. Silk might show up. Winter Soldier might. The Asian team, as we get into this, falls apart. Latinx team. Doctor Strange only has 1 appearance next month. Shazam's book got canceled.
But he still has a digital book.
Yes. That will keep him afloat by far. Death. I mean, Death could show up. Everything I read for the Sandman universe solicits mention Dream and Ruin. So
No,
who
no,
knows?
this is Marvel Death. This is Marvel Death. No.
Marvel Death. Oh, well then never mind. No chance in hell.
Maybe in a Deadpool book, right?
Kyle Rayner isn't going to show up, and Jane Foster has got an appearance.
Yeah, Jane's got her own book still.
But like, she's not going to show up in Deadpool's books because Deadpool's book, the next 2 months in a row, are X-Men and then an Elsa Bloodstone romance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody's going to touch Kia. Kia's unstoppable.
Wow.
I mean,
Who saw
I
that?
feel like I should get a crown or something. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm definitely gonna make a sash for
Your
myself.
picks
You know?
that should have been weaker this coming month are ungodly, like Magneto. Magneto could be a weak pick. Nope, next month he's going to kill it.
Sounds like my Magneto.
Cyclops, all the X-Men could be weak picks, but nope. Peak time to have an X-Men, an X-team.
So it's gonna be. You heard it here first. Who can stop Kia is apparently how this next month is gonna go.
Oh my gosh, should that be trending on Twitter? Like, unstoppable? Like what? Tim Grover would be totally proud of me. I'm pretty much the Michael Jordan of the racial draft right now. Like I feel it.
I mean, you are the only team with 3 double-digit scorers.
I want to see who's going to be the best character on the black team. I think it's going to be Reverse Flash, honestly.
Even more than Joker?
Even more than Joker. Because right now, the storyline in The Flash is Reverse Flash is about to take over Barry Allen's body and just ruin havoc of his life. And it is the end of a 100+ issue run.
How many issues are left?
I think we're starting the final storyline, which is 5 to 6 issues. So the next 2 months.
Oh, so they're basically doing Superior Flash.
Yeah, basically.
That sounds actually really exciting.
Yeah, that may be a lot of points for Reverse Flash. But
Yeah,
they also have Doom and Joker.
No, I'm gonna go with it. Like, I don't think Doom will show up enough. He's just not the focus of Fantastic Four right now. The focus is Franklin, it's Empire, it's
Right. But Doom has
Johnny's relationship.
Didn't somebody pick Franklin? Sorry to interrupt. Sorry. Didn't somebody pick Franklin?
No, I think he again was a poll character that never actually came through.
Gosh dang.
But I mean, Doom still has a solo book, and people love Doom. I think that he'll show up somewhere. Maybe he'll show up in Empire. Maybe he'll come through and help turn the tide.
I mean, I would love that. Imagine, okay, because Empire, I was really thinking about this today. Empire is all about ego. It's Black Panther's ego, it's Hulkling's ego, it's Tony Stark's ego, it's Mr. Fantastic's ego. Imagine if they brought in Doom, the most egotistical man ever,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the one that saved the day.
I could see it. I could definitely see it. And remember, they're promising some kind of crazy status quo change in the Fantastic Four. Maybe Doom takes Reed off the board for a while. I don't know.
Nah, Dan Slott is not going to take his brilliant white man that he can write off the board.
True, but he also wrote Superior Spider-Man, so maybe he does something like Superior.
Maybe, you know what? I was going to say, if he takes Reed off the board and replaces him with Doom, he still has a brilliant white man to write.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Superior 4.
Are we gonna see anything with Mr. Sinister?
Well, I mean, he's already popped up in X-Men books. He'll probably, like Shaun said, he'll probably show up but not do too much. He's a long-term plotter. He's got a book that he's part of the cast somewhat on, and that's Hellions. But as true to his name, he's usually doing sinister machinations.
Ah.
I'm comparing me and Annie's team right now.
All right.
I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, so her strong ones are Jean Grey,
Yes.
She-Hulk,
Yes.
Starfire.
Yes. And Supergirl.
Supergirl's not appearing in anything right now. Her book got canceled. She might appear in a digital title, but one digital title is not enough to make a strong character.
Okay.
Apocalypse is a unknown quantity that could be huge.
Well, he's part of the regular cast of an X book, in
Yeah.
addition to being on the Quiet Council.
And I don't know enough about Zatanna to know if she's good or not. Like,
Yeah, I
I
think.
don't know enough.
I mean, I think she's part of the regular cast of Justice League Dark.
Mm-hmm. But like, those are all 1 appearance, 2 appearances, 3 appearances, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Does she have any no appearances? Iron Fist is a maybe. The Engineer is definitely not going to show up. Spectrum will get 1. Moon Knight will get 1 really good one. Living Tribunal will not show up. Silver Surfer's going to die.
Oh, he is gonna die?
Yeah, he's dying this month. There's a Fantastic Four comic coming out about it. It's called Anti-Math or Anti-Requiem, something weird. Anti-something.
But you do get a character development for dying, yes?
Yeah.
So.
But that does also handicap your team if your character dies.
Right.
Okay. I got Flash, who's going to have like 6 appearances. But again, half of those, he might not even be in his own body.
So how's that going to work? If
so
Flash takes
I
over,
imagine Flash will be in the Speed Force, and that will be him. And then everything that's going on in the reverse, that the Reverse Flash is doing in Barry's body, would be going to the Reverse Flash because it's him actively doing these things and their powers he's already familiar with.
True.
So Blade is going to show up once. Forge could be a sleeper, but not likely. Reed Richards will carry me strong. Alex. Damien strong. Punchline strong. Wiccan strong, especially because of the event. Blue Beetle, nothing. Superboy, nothing. Katara could be good.
Well,
and Barbara Gordon strong.
Let's pull back to Superboy. So he's a regular member of the Legion, and he does continue to show up in Superman books.
Yeah. He's not I'm not saying he's strong. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying he's not strong.
Okay. And Barbara Gordon.
I think even without the Flash, I could still take Annie's team. And Joaquin's team is carried by Spider-Man.
And the Hulk.
So if my Flash can take his Spider-Man,
Spider-Man,
I will emerge at the head of my battle.
So who do you guys think will come in 2nd and 3rd place? I mean, I'm not actually being a dick about this one. I actually just, I really want to know.
I still think the Latinx team is gonna still make a run for the money because Superman and Wolverine, those are heavy hitters. And
so is Batman and Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Especially with digital books.
True. Yeah, that X factor of the digital books in DC is I mean, we I think there's maybe probably about 3 weeks ago when there was the book with all the Robins.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was also a Dick Grayson and Jason Todd team up adventure. So they're doing a good job of mixing in the random members of the Bat family in that digital book. It's not just Bruce, but it is Bruce as well.
They actually have a lot of characters in the draft that could line up toe to toe with each other. But honestly, the Asian team has a weaker bottom half. So I'm going to say Latinx will be 2nd, Asian will be 3rd.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm looking at their bottom 6, and, like, there's a chance none of them really show up or do anything. Except for, Human Torch and Night. I don't know.
I think Human Torch and Nightwing will be solid. And
I think Nightwing is going to be underneath Iron Man. He'll be his 3rd best.
Who do you guys think will win between the Native American team and the Polynesian team?
The Native American team.
Mostly because of Spider-Man.
Because of Spider-Man. Spider-Man alone can probably beat the Polynesian team.
I mean, this week,
sorry, Tommy.
This week he did. I mean, this week Spider-Man outscored the white team, the Jewish team, the black team and the Polynesian team all by himself.
So is the black team even going to really be on the board at all? Or are they just, kind of just there?
So I'm not going to make fun of the black team.
Because their lives matter.
Oh.
Oh.
I am going to say that every week that they finish above last place should be seen as a win.
So no people. Amati's got enough characters on his team that he should have performances every week, and the black team are hoping for a performance a week.
Yeah.
So are you guys pretty much saying that, like,
The Joker
backstories?
alone might be able to make them do good. The
So you
Joker
guys are-
Reverse Flash might be the only thing that's able to beat a couple teams.
Right.
Mhm.
What were you
So
saying?
I was just going to ask, so pretty much, I just wanted to clarify. So backstories really don't help people win.
So backstories help people pay attention to the draft, and
Okay.
by all means, continue to come up with backstories in season 2 because they are interesting and they are exciting. And as listeners, I'm sure we love listening to the backstories and the creative ways that our captains are imagining these characters. And in the future weeks, when we're talking about more than just FCL, we're definitely going to lean on their creative abilities as we weave these backstories together. But on a pure points basis, what's that word again, Kia?
Points?
Yeah. There are no points to be scored via backstory.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, I'm sure Joaquin right now is crying about all the times that he wrote down 80 paragraphs and realized there's just no points for those 80 paragraphs that he wrote.
Honestly, looking at Joaquin's team, Tomati could beat him. If Tomati can beat Spider-Man, he can
Shit.
beat him.
I think
But I don't know if Tomati can beat Spider-Man.
He's going to need Daredevil to really make some major moves.
Because, looking right now, actually, no, Tomati's okay. These are Tomati's big players. Storm's going to make some noise. Scarlet Witch is going to make some noise. Amadeus Cho is going to make some noise.
Assuming he has a book that comes out.
And, because his books aren't coming out right now. No, he is. I swear. No, is Agents of Atlas over?
It's been on hold.
Damn. Never mind. Raven.
Yes.
It's not appearing in any of the main books.
There's a Titan.
And Titans.
Yeah.
Like Storm and Scarlet Witch and
Kitty's still dead.
Devil.
Kitty's still dead. Bobby, who knows what Bobby's getting up to?
I don't know. There's so many unknown qualities, and you could put my team, Annie's team, the black team, and the native team together, and we still wouldn't be able to touch Kia.
Wow.
Wait, can you say that one more time? I don't think they heard you.
You could put the bottom 4 teams together and couldn't touch Kia. That's how weak in comparison our teams are. We have so many unknown quantities and no appearances.
You heard it here first with the racial draft. Being multiracial, that's the way to go.
She's cheating. She's multiple races. Somehow that's allowing her to cheat.
Yeah, I think we've learned what they always say, that being multi is better than being one race, and I think we're learning.
Yeah, just like dogs. Instead of having them be like one particular breed, mixed breeds are the best.
I feel like for my villainy next time around, I have to emphasize different whiteness. I'll be like, the reason this character is French is because he hits these fake French criterias. And so help me God, when I get to the Scottish, who's the biggest drinker? Who's the biggest drinker in all of comics? Wolverine, I'm coming for him. Gonna make him Scottish.
I like that. I like that. I like where you're going.
I was gonna that. You know what? That might work.
I don't know if there will be a multiracial team next round, because I mean, if multiracial team like murders everybody this round, I mean, like I guess I should just let everybody else have an opportunity to play.
Oh wow! Is this you're calling your shot that you're gonna go out on top?
I get it how I live it. I live it how I get it.
You gotta, okay. In the history of the Fantasy Comic League, there has never been a 3-time winner. Back-to-back, 3 months in a row, won it.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta aim for, Kia. Because I'm already the double belt champ. You gotta be the triple belt.
Oh my God. Please, Lord, let me be the triple belt. I'm just going to speak that into existence right now. Kind of like how I did the front runner.
I remember people laughed when you said you were the front runner.
Yeah,
I
do.
She was telling me in one of the podcasts right towards the end, she's like, who are you targeting? And I was like, I'm targeting the real front runner, Kia. Your jokes are cute. Nope. Should have been targeting Kia.
Thank you for sleeping on me. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It was all lack of backstory.
Yep. I was concentrating on points. I think she realized, I think a little too late, like, around 11, she was like, oh shit, Kia's team though. Kia's team, but it was a little too late.
Honestly, I feel like the Cable Cyclops back-to-back was when people really noticed that you had no holes on your team.
But I actually might agree with you. What do you think, Sean?
I mean, here, let me look at your team. When did you draft Cable and Cyclops? Oh, like
64 and 65.
I feel like if you were not paying attention in those first 6, Captain America, Wonder Woman, Magneto, Mystique, Captain Marvel, Harley Quinn, like, I don't think at any point Kia was not telling us, I'm gonna kick your ass. Just none of us were listening to her.
It's true.
And which one were polls? Wonder Woman was a poll.
Wonder Woman was a poll.
Was a poll.
Yep.
Was Captain Marvel a poll or no? I think you.
No, Captain Marvel was not a poll. I think Harley Quinn was a poll.
Yes, Harley Quinn was a poll.
Cyclops was a poll.
No, Cyclops were Cyclops and
that was a double. Deadpool was a poll.
Right, but Deadpool was like a double poll because you had to beat S in that poll.
Oh man, so what I did for that poll is I voted for it on S's team, and then I voted for it on Kia's team because it was the only option, and then I voted for the Hispanics in the poll because I was like, that would be great because what would Kia do if she lost that poll?
Thanks a lot. Well, that's why I didn't, and I also definitely campaigned really well in that poll. I pretty much went to every single team, I think maybe except yours, and I said, guess what? If Deadpool is on my team, I'll make him, your race as well.
Yeah, so
because I can do that.
So
as a multiracial team.
So since you're here, why don't you give us Wade's backstory?
I had that written down like three weeks ago.
Is there opportunity to satisfy the promise that you made to all the different ethnicities about that being of that background?
Well, in the spirit of Deadpool, as I pull this all out of my ass, I mean, do wonders really need to even talk about these things? I don't know. I kind of want to just slide by and do the political thing and be like, well, that's a great question, Mike. Well, I promised the Jewish team that Deadpool was going to be Jewish if they voted. I told the Spanish team that that Deadpool would be Spanish, but you know what? Honestly, I lied.
Wow.
because he campaigned so hard, and I mean, she campaigned so hard for Deadpool. I was so mad about it, so I took that back.
Wow.
But it was who else is on her team?
Martin?
Martin, huh?
Martine, I forgot.
Yeah, Martine. Martine wanted, who was it?
He wanted Kyle Rayner.
Yeah. So because of Martine, I got Deadpool. Thank you, Martine. High five right there. Bam. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I Deadpool's just amazing. I actually that week I was so excited about Deadpool. I watched both his movies. And I did. Like, I really did. Back to back.
Did you imagine a black person in that role?
Not
a black person, sorry, a multiracial person.
Yeah, just a multiracial person. I mean, he is bilingual, in the movies, quote unquote. Like, adding like a little A to things, and he speaks different languages. So yeah, it just seemed right for him to be multiracial. So
I feel you.
I'm actually surprised Shaun didn't pick him earlier.
Again, Shaun doesn't go for the mutants because the mutants are unknown quality.
Unknown quantity?
Yeah, quantity, not quality.
Yeah. Do you have the most DC characters on your team?
Mine or Shaun's?
Shaun.
Me? Do I have the most DC characters? I mean, I went in aiming for DC characters, but I don't think so. What are my DC characters? I got the Flash. I got Superboy. I got Robin. I got Batgirl.
Punchline.
I will say this. I got the best representation on my team because I got Barbara Gordon, who's disabled. I got Wiccan, who's huge for the LGBT community. Y'all don't even have characters representing these people on most of your teams.
I mean, let's go down the list.
Yeah, let's do this.
Harley Quinn, bisexual. Mystique, in a committed relationship. Magneto.
And
Harley Quinn doesn't get bisexual.
Mystique could also be like,
because they are
forcing she's
heterosexuality on her so hard to the point she's dating Booster Gold, who literally just tried to frame her for murder. Actually, not that tracks for Harley Quinn, yeah. But I think Booster Gold is disgusting, especially when Poison Ivy's right there.
She's a villain. She's gonna have to have a little bit more angst. But this Magneto.
And Mystique is like everything.
And Mystique is married to a woman.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
And Deadpool is what
has mental health issues.
When I threw out that challenge, I was thinking about disabled. Who do we have? I guess Moon Knight. Moon Knight would count as disabled because of mentally. Do we count physical disabilities and mental disabilities as the same? I don't know. This is not something I have the authority to speak on.
Yeah, that's always fraught, especially in the comics, because it's hard to truly depict mental illness with the
Hawkeye. Hawkeye's in there. Clint Barton, he's deaf.
Yes, he is. Hawkeye.
But yeah, so you guys seem to go really white with your choices. I feel like diversity-wise, I was hitting it out the park.
I mean, but it's par for the course with the white delegation, seeing as you're not making them ethnically diverse. You're going for diversity in other ways.
No, I don't think so. I don't. I mean, you can look at it in that lens if you want to, but I do have the most diverse team.
You have the most.
I want to give you a point for that, but I guess there's no points for that.
You definitely have the most diverse white people. I agree. But let's see. I don't know. I feel like this was a particularly weak showing for the Latinx team, but I think they'll bounce back.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have really big names. I was actually really surprised the Latinx team didn't have a bigger showing. But I mean, obviously, we have like a couple months, so
Yeah.
you don't know what could happen.
And I think in the way that Superman put up his points, he can do that every week. He surely can.
Like Wonder Woman is not going to have a 40-point week very often, I would think. Even as a member of the Trinity and the head of the Wonder family, I don't think she's going to show up anywhere near as much as Batman and Superman.
Yeah. I mean, I see her having a lot of 20-point weeks. But the 40-point week, that is a huge move. And I'm curious whether anyone else can pull off a 40-point week. If you had to take odds, Shaun, about who out there could put up a 40-point week, where are you looking?
I think because Wonder Woman has pulled it off, so many characters are going to be able to pull it off. I think Batman will have 50-point weeks. I think Superman will have 40-point weeks regularly. I think Spider-Man, if he does really well, will hit that 40-point threshold, but I don't know if he will be able to do that off, just because he's just not going to have stacked appearances.
What about Joker as well, right?
Well, the problem with
Joker shows up in all the Batman books that week. Psh.
But the problem with Joker is that he doesn't have a lot of powers to choose from. So, like a non-powered character, like how many points can they really get? What are your main sort of non-power based?
So we've got stealth, we've got melee, we've got weapons, we've got blunt weapons, we've got guns, we've got blades, we've got if the Joker beats somebody with a crowbar and then stabs somebody.
That's true. He's got creative KO too, which you got to think.
KO, explosives.
But I have a
Poison
question.
is in there somewhere. I don't remember what Poison's categorization is anymore.
What was your question, Kia?
I mean, beating people up with crowbars, is that really superpowers?
Well, it's powers / weapon. It's how things get scored. So you know, if you're a character like Batman who uses a lot of tech and tools, you know, he's going to be able to score with those tech / tools.
Okay.
We had to create a system in which superpowered characters could not just blow away non-superpowered.
I'm over here secretly trying to change it.
Then I went ahead and created a system by which if you had a lot of superpowers, you could rack up big points. But not just if you had superpowers, because Batman racked up big points. But you know, there's the more you do, and this is something that comes from, you know, fantasy sports. You know, you don't just want someone that scores points, you know, to use maybe basketball as an example. You know, you want someone that can get triple doubles. You want someone that can shoot for a great percentage. You want someone that can play good defense. And the more categories that you can score in, the better it is. Otherwise, you know, you can have sort of a ton of people maxing out their scoring at a low number, making it sort of weaker. Making the high draft picks weaker. I mean, Wonder Woman could have been drafted by anyone else in the first round, and the fact that she was allowed to slip to 16 means that you're making people pay for not picking her with either their first or their second round pick. And you know, that was strategically that was kind of a failure.
Well, I think that the draft altogether, until we kind of brought it up, I think everybody was really just sleeping on female characters.
Well,
I feel like now that you have said this, the rest of the month is going to come and beat you for making that statement. Because there are female characters who do well, like Captain Marvel, Harley Quinn, Wonder Woman. But there's nowhere near the quantity of men, and the male characters are going to come and outperform them. Your Spider-Man, your Peter Parker, your Batman,
guys and outperforming, is that really ever a thing? I don't know.
You tempted this. You threw this out into the void, and the void is like, sorry, bro.
I don't know. I think Wonder Woman's chesticles are letting you know right now that she's here to stay, as well as, you know, the rest of my chicks on my team. You know,
I hope you're
And,
right. I hope so, but the numbers that I have seen have not spoken in your favor.
I mean, I sort of.
don't take it back now, Sean. Don't take it back now.
So here's what I would say. I would say that on average, the male characters score higher, but there are enough high-scoring female characters that they're going to make their presence felt higher than where they were drafted.
And I think we also have to look at like the times that we are in right now. I think too, maybe female characters might be scoring a little bit more because it's being called. Like, everybody kind of wants more of a female presence, which is maybe something they might be writing in the books.
I got 6 years of data that says Marvel will always appease their male fan base at the end of the day.
That's just.
But Marvel is far more willing to give other non-white male characters a chance than fucking DC is. Okay, I did DC, like I was making my top 200 characters that I was going to track for DC. I stopped at 122, and that was me really, really trying to fill out the ranks. I did Marvel August, and I had something like 112 characters that I reduced down to 90. And that was just for 1 month. Whereas for DC, I did that off 3 months of data. And I stopped at 122.
Yeah, well, just going off of the books that I was reading, it really seems like DC is about having fewer characters appearing more, whereas Marvel is about having more characters appearing less. And if we're thinking about it in terms of how things are structured in the racial draft, what that means is that there are a lot of Marvel characters that seem like good picks because we know that they'll show up, but they may not put up big numbers. You may get a lot of 7, 8, and topping off at 10 to 15, whereas in DC you're getting these Trinity characters potentially putting up 30, 40, 50 points.
See, I wanted to say that about DC and Marvel, but then I looked at how Marvel treated their white male characters. Like, Captain America is going to show up an ungodly amount. Iron Man is going to show up an ungodly amount. Spider-Man is going to show up an ungodly amount. And even when compared to them, Captain Marvel, who shows up a lot, does not show up as much as her male counterparts.
This is true.
And she is the biggest female character at Marvel.
That kind of hurts me a little inside, deep down.
It hurt me a little inside. Like, that's not what I want to see in my comic book industry. I'm so tired about reading about Captain America 9 times a month.
I mean, yeah, he's not that great. Oh, wait, yes, he is. For right now, he is. I mean, like, next year, man, who cares about that guy? But for right now, he can come in and swing his dick. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at that.
So,
titles, The Avengers never goes away, and it's always largely a male cast with 2, maybe 3 female characters on the roster. But A-Force got canceled 3 times.
True. But I feel like A-Force in its sort of conception was always meant to be kind of a limited run character more so than limited run story more so than an ongoing story, because it's about these female characters from different facets of the superhero worlds kind of coming together and having.
But the Avengers roster changes every year. Why couldn't A-Forces?
That's a good question.
Yeah, but I think it gets harder and harder to justify why it's A-Force and not just the Avengers, because they're all Avengers level well, the vast majority of them are Avengers level characters. What we're really looking for is an Avengers book that is female centric, right?
I mean, X-Men, which was about the female characters of X-Men, got canceled. If the female X-Men can't carry a book, what hope does anybody at Marvel really have?
I feel like right now with X-Men as hot as they are, I think that they could sustain a, if not 100% female, but 90% female led team. It just needs to fit within the, paradigm that they're in right now, which unfortunately, is still a male driven storyline under Jonathan Hickman.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that'll change anytime soon or no?
I think Hickman is trying to change it. Like he's bringing in Teenie Howard. He's bringing in Leo Williams. Who else did he bring in? He brought in another female.
Well, I mean, I know Vita's non-binary.
Vita.
Yeah.
Sorry. That is actually bad on my part.
But and they have a book that's supposed to drop sometime in the fall. So, but even those lineups they're not all female. They have a strong female what's his name, presence. I think that isn't X Factor still mostly male?
X Factor's got Polaris, it's got Rachel, and I'm assuming Aurora has to join the book. She was the catalyst for the team.
Maybe. But then it's still Dakin, Prodigy, North Star, iBoy. There you go. The balance is still skews male.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's tough.
Be better. Be better.
We're talking about Marvel. Marvel gives out far more chances.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because, like you said, the majority of the characters are male. So if you imagine that these characters all have fan followings and people want to see these characters in books, even putting aside the whole Comicsgate element of reactionaries that just get mad anytime they see, pornographic.
Let's look at the Bat Family, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They are the biggest characters outside of like your main trinity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Batgirl doesn't have a book. Cassandra Cain doesn't have a book. Stephanie Brown does show up in Young Justice. But Stephanie Brown is like not who you think when you think of the top tier Bat Family woman. Kate Kane doesn't have a book. Jason Todd has a book. Dick Grayson has a book. Tim Drake has a book. Damian Wayne has a book. Damian has a book. Barbara Gordon doesn't have a book.
Catwoman has a book.
I guess Batwoman is in Detective Comics. She's pretty much the co-star of that book.
Still? I don't think so. I think once Tinian ended the run, I think she's.
I know for this month she is the main character in it.
Okay.
But the next month it's Bruce Wayne and Killer Croc. Right. So she's not the mainstay of the book, but she's in it. But like they don't have their own titles. Bruce has like 6.
Yeah. And what's the book? The Outsiders book that's coming to an end, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
and then
I'd say
Superman family's not showing up. Green Lantern, the Green family does really well for representation when I was tracking all the characters.
Well, that's also because they have a Green Lantern of every different stripe.
Yeah, but they've got women, they've got people of color. It's not just Hal Jordan and Guy Gardner going around in all the Green Lantern books.
Sure. But I there's something about the way that the Green Lantern mantle is structured because it's already built in. It's a group of people who have the same powers. It's not hierarchical in the same way that like Superman and Batman are, or even Wonder Woman, where there's the main character and then these offshoots of that character. We've already had that fight where, Hal Jordan is co-equal to John Stewart, who's co-equal to, or maybe just a little bit ahead of like Guy Gardner and Kyle Rayner. And it's just a matter of who appears the most. And it's not like one person is the one who the catalyst who brought everybody else together in the same.
But what I'm saying is, women and non-white men appear far more often in the Green Lantern sector of books than they do in pretty much any other sector.
Yeah, I can see that. But I also think that part of it is if you think about it from the perspective of a fan of one of these characters, I don't think you want to see your character that's representative always in a kind of co-starring / subservient role. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with the creator of Black Lightning and the way that he was criticizing how Black Lightning was used in the Outsiders book, but I definitely can see how one can view him as a support character for Batman in Outsiders rather than as a partner.
I put him on the Bat family of characters. And the Bat family for me is always subservient to the Batman.
I see where you're coming from. I think Black Lightning, because
like even Dick Grayson, who became Batman, Bruce Wayne came back and said no.
Sure. But what I'm saying is that Black Lightning didn't have his origin in the Bat family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's a character. Right, he's a character.
But that's where he's fallen in modern DC.
Right, but I would argue that I would argue that they have good chemistry as characters, and it's not that he's a support player in the Bat family as much as he is a character that's a good foil for Bruce.
Okay.
And because he doesn't have his own family really of books or characters, if we're going to try to pick a place that we'd like to see him, it's being a character that can bounce off of Batman. Probably in an even better way. I mean, a lot of people have advocated for Mr. Terrific, but I think that in a lot of ways he's too similar to Batman to be a good foil for him.
Okay.
And it's going to be I'm going to be curious. I mean, I am curious to see what happens to the character once his Terrifics book ends.
He's in Strange Adventures.
Right, I know he's in Strange Adventures, but that's kind of its own thing. It's Black Label. I know it's still technically in the main DC universe, but it's not. It's not. Doesn't have that same level of interplay that, say, a Justice League book would have.
Okay.
I'm hoping that whatever they have planned for him next keeps him in the mix as if not the top tier, close enough to the top tier that he can show up in other people's books. Obviously, he's not a racial draft character, so we won't be tracking his points. But I imagine he's a character that you've been tracking in your FCL, right?
Yes. He made the list.
Well, so that's good. Because every now and then I'm going to check in with some of these DC characters that haven't been drafted to sort of help people think about who they might consider drafting in the subsequent seasons, rather.
I'm very curious to see what my 200 will be because I'm only at 122.
Yeah, Kia, did you have some thoughts on this? I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was gonna ask Sean, like, if you could change your team, how would you change it, and what players would you put on the board?
So I would want, if I was to stick with my theme of being the supervillain, Mr. Terrific is a big one. Wallace West is going to show up a lot because he's in the Flash book and he could possibly appear in a digital book. I never came to play the Fantasy Comic League. I run the Fantasy Comic League. I don't need to play it. I came to have a good time and make creative backstories and learn stuff. So I still got pretty much everything I wanted out of it. And I set such a low bar with my racially drafted team this season that I feel like I could easily top it next season, even if I did the same thing. But I don't think I will.
Oh, so when you started to play, like, you didn't actually want to win. You just, just were
I
happy to be
didn't want
there.
to lose. That's why I took the Flash right off the bat. I was like, with the Flash on my team, I feel like the odds of me losing are slim.
Well, I mean, the black team pretty much, Like, I mean, I don't think anybody can lose except the black team for the most part.
Oh.
I mean, call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
I feel, here's what I feel like with the black team. They came out of the gate with some unorthodox first and second picks, but it was still within their grasp with Galactus and Joker and Doom and Black Bolt and Thanos. The Invincible pick is a little bit questionable because of the lack of Invincible book. The one above all is a pure vanity pick. It's and you can't afford to make vanity picks when you're the black team. Do we know what's happening with Goku and his book?
I checked. There are no comics coming out from Viz Media that are Dragon Ball next month.
Okay, so
They have a very reduced lineup because of COVID as well.
okay.
Actually,
They're dropping like 19 titles.
it's actually funny you bring that up because what I truly wanted for my 12th pick was The Last Airbender.
You would have taken Aang?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I
See,
think
the
I
reason
honestly
took
think
Katara
I honestly think they
because of
I probably would have racked up points with that.
You wouldn't have. I mean, you might get an
Really?
appearance, but Katara, the Avatar comics this month are focused solely on Katara, and there's only one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Like, if
Okay.
I had my choice, I would have taken her brother instead of her, but then she was right there, and it was focused on her, and I was like, nobody will see it coming.
That is fair. I've never
Yeah,
watched
that's
the
fair.
show, so I don't know. These names mean nothing to me.
Okay, I love Marvel and DC. I run a fantasy comic league. My favorite property in the world is Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's how good of a show it is.
One day I'll watch it.
You'll watch it and you'll make it through like the first couple. The first season is very kid heavy in the first like 10 episodes.
Interesting.
But after that, it becomes like the most thoughtful children's show you've ever seen. And it's brilliant with its use of powers.
Interesting. Well, maybe one day when I have a child, I will share that with my child.
Man, I've been trying to get my kids into it. They don't give a shit. And I'm like, how dare you? How dare you disrespect this show?
I'm as a black person, I am rooting for the black team to not be the last place team.
So you're rooting for
Yeah.
Tommy to lose, is what you're saying.
I am.
Ooh,
I am-
I think we heard it here first. Firsthand. Mike wants Tomati to lose.
I am.
That's what I heard.
rooting for.
Me
I'm
too.
rooting for like a bunch of surprise appearances. I'm rooting for Domino to show up and use all of her luck powers and do crazy stuff in every panel when the next X-Force book comes out. I'm just,
They need a lot of luck, that black team.
that's. I mean, look. As black people, we all need a little luck. That's why I was fine with Domino in one of the first picks. But
You know what's crazy? That tens of swords, X of swords, 10 of swords.
mhm.
We know nothing really about like who's getting swords. And that starts next month.
Well, there was some art that came out with different characters.
Yes, but if there's 10 swords, right? We've seen something like 19 characters wielding swords. So is everybody just getting swords?
Now I have a question about swords. I know with the scoring system, it's just blades. But is there some kind of bonus point if it's a known commodity sword?
Yes, for example, you remember when we were talking about energy generic
Mm-hmm.
earlier? If Katana turned the soul sword on, that's an energy generic. She's activating the soul, the energy within the blade.
Okay.
But like you wouldn't get if Betsy picked up Excalibur. Like, that's a horrible example because that would be a character development. If Nightwing picked up the Soul Sword, he wouldn't get a special point for using the Soul Sword.
Mhm.
Actually, arguably you could. I don't know the Soul Sword's backstory. Do you have to be worthy to use the Soul Sword? Can it kill you if you're not worthy enough? Like, because if so, then Nightwing picking it up is noteworthy. But if he just picked up the Soul Sword and started swinging around like a regular blade, there's no specialness there. There's nothing of note.
But here's what I'm thinking about: swords that have names, right? So you've got the ebony blade, for instance, in Marvel. You've got whatever that sword is that Cable's carrying in his book that for some reason a bunch of other people are trying to acquire from space.
Do you know what ROM is? Are you familiar with ROM?
I mean, I remember Rom the Space Knight from back in the day, but I wasn't a big reader of it. No.
Okay.
My feeling is that there's an argument to be made that any named sword that has a history behind it can also be an artifact.
You know what? I could go for that argument very easily. I could see that 100%. Because, like, let's say you pick up Excalibur in the middle of the battle, right? All of a sudden, you're inspired, you're charged. That's an artifact. It's inspiring you. It's doing more than just being a blade.
Right.
That's an easy argument, I think.
Yeah, and typically these are old swords. These are mythical swords. There's some legend behind them, and therefore, when you're using it, you're just not using just some run-of-the-mill sword. You're using a sword that has some backstory to it. So that's my pitch.
Yeah, I like that. You should definitely bring that up tomorrow.
All right. So
Are we still recording? Have we been recording?
we are still recording the show.
Yes, we are still recording.
Deep into the weeds of the Fantasy Comics League because there's not a lot of racial draft business. Hopefully, now that Key has jumped out to the lead, you're gonna drive the boat with a lot of trash talk. I expect you to start calling people out.
I already made some personal phone calls. Yes, I did call Joaquin. I did, remind him, there are winners and there are losers, and he is obviously losing. So I will definitely be making a point to, slide into people's DMs and just let them know, hey, you should check out the points. Yep, you're lacking in that department.
You just gotta watch movies with really great shit talk and just pick up the things. Like, you ever seen Talladega Nights? Just pick up some sayings from that.
Yeah, you're right. Don't worry. The shit talk. Very true. Oh, it's gonna be great. I'm gonna shit talk while it lasts. You never know. Some crazy shit could happen, right? And I may not be in first place, in a month or so, but I'll take it. I'll take it right now. Winning is winning right now. And I'm about that life.
And yeah, I mean, I guess thinking ahead, I think next week we'll dive into some of the more comic heavy, looking back, sorry. Shaun, do you have any events that you sort of think of fondly from the past that you'd like to revisit?
I feel like pose that question to everybody else, but tell them to pick something specific to their characters.
Okay.
Like, I would very much kind of want to see what the white super sons of Latin Superman and Asian Batman get up to.
Interesting. I was thinking bigger events though that involve more characters, rather than. But you can definitely talk about the Super Sons whenever you feel like it. The white sons of multiracial characters. I mean, not multiracial, of Asian and Latinx fathers. But no, but let's go through your team. So obviously there have been quite a few Flash-centric events. Reed Richards, has had a ton of events. So,
but they're both white. Me making them white doesn't change anything.
Oh, sure. But what I'm thinking of is these events that had these characters in the focus, but now the characters that are interacting with, for instance, Reed is going to interacting with Black Doom in all of his Reed Doom events. Secret Wars, for instance, where maybe God Doom has used his god powers to make everybody black. So Reed returns.
What if he does a racial draft version of Secret Wars where each demographic is given a different chunk on the map. It's basically Doom segregation.
Ooh, that would be.
I like that.
I have to You know what? I have to pull. This might be a good topic for next week, because we can pull up the major battle world spheres. I would not be surprised if there is a battle world for everybody.
Yeah, because they were all made up of events.
That's right. I think you've got us. I think you've got it here. There were the battle worlds.
All I think of when I think of the battle worlds is one. Do you remember, like, they made like the wall, but who made Ben Grimm the wall from Game of Thrones?
That's right, he was.
That was a good time.
The Thor core.
The Thor core. That was awesome.
Yep. There were. I'm trying to.
There was Days of Future Past was one of them, and it was Years of Future Past, and it was Kitty Pryde and Colossus's kid, I think. There was an Inferno world. I know that because I remember Madeline Pryor having a big part. Mm-hmm. There was a 1812 world where we got to meet Red Wolf and Sheriff Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Black Panther. Was he the sheriff? Did he become the sheriff afterwards, or was he the gunslinger that came out of town and avenged? Because I know Steve Rogers died, I think. I think. Yeah. There was an Annihilation one. There was one it was written by Dustin Weaver, and he did the art, and it was like the Nova Corps family.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to say that was about Infinity War, because they were protecting the gems.
So here we go. The 2015 Secret Wars reading list. Let's see. There was Inferno, Secret Wars 2099, X-Men 92, X-Men Years of Future Past, Extinction Avenger, Future Imperfect, Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. I forgot about Renew Your Vows.
Extinction Agenda. I forgot about that. That was just the Grant Morrison stuff.
Ghost Racers, Weird World, 1602.
That one was Angela and her girlfriend, Sarah,
yeah. There was Captain Marvel and the Carol Corps. Mrs. Deadpool? I don't remember this one. There was a Squadron Sinister. Age of
Aquarius. I think Mrs. Deadpool was like the Howling Commando. Like, it was like the Supernatural. It was Deadpool's wife and the Supernatural things.
Interesting. Spider Island, House of M, Hail Hydra, the Hydra World. There was also a there was also a Civil War world.
Yeah, because Peter Parker was Falcon.
Yeah, it was a Civil War if Civil War never ended. There we go.
That was a good one.
So yeah, we might. This could be a fun. This could be a fun
template at the very least.
Yeah, because that allows us to cover the events, but also cover them, in the Secret Wars realm. Interesting. All right, so we'll talk about that with our captains and hopefully have them on, and maybe they'll pick their favorite Secret War worlds and their favorite tie-ins and the characters that they foresee Who could we? How can we forget A Force? No.
Man, I forgot something. I would just remember there's one that was essentially like a Disney cartoon, and it was Star-Lord and Kitty Pryde.
Yes, I don't remember that one though.
I loved that one. And I can't remember who did the art, but it was like a Disney cartoon in comic form. It was great.
Well, Tamati does have Kitty Pryde, so maybe he can read that. Yeah, that. How do you feel about Key? How do you feel about doing some reading next week?
I'm down.
All right, cool. So we'll talk about some of these storylines, and they were only about 4 issues, right? These tie-ins,
Yeah, they were like 4 to 5 issues. They weren't very long.
and they're all on Marvel Unlimited now.
Perfect.
They're
Yeah, I was gonna say,
weeks ago. Oh, there was a Spider-Verse one. Forgot about that one.
there was a Spider-Verse. Spider Island was actually Flash Thompson.
Oh,
It was the Venom one, Agent Venom.
yeah, I'm surprised no one drafted Flash Thompson.
He's dead.
Oh yeah, that's why. That would explain that.
That didn't stop the native team from, getting the crow.
True. But yeah, I think that's a direction that we're gonna go in the coming weeks. We're gonna go through the Secret Wars. I suppose maybe we'll do the same with DC and Convergence.
Which one was Convergence?
Which one was Convergence?
Yeah.
That was more of like a multiversal event where all the different previous universes kind of melded into each other.
Grant Morrison?
No, I think that was Multiversity. But
Okay, that's the one I'm thinking of with the 7 or whatever universes.
yeah, I have never actually read Multiversity, so maybe
That was my last DC event. And it was garbage. It wasn't garbage, but it was Grant Morrison. It was too thick to get into.
Yeah, but Convergence, I want to say Convergence and Multiversity were related somehow, though. It was basically how New 52 ended, and that led into Rebirth. But I've read neither of those storylines, so
Me neither. I don't know what this Convergence is. Oh, Brainiac. Shit, I might know this.
well, we'll have to talk about the DC events because they tend to get convoluted. But I'm willing to do the reading as long because I have DC Universe. If they're there, then maybe I can find it.
Well, it must be nice to have DC Universe, because we don't get it here in Canada. Because DC doesn't like making money.
Well, there's no guarantee that DC Universe makes them any money. But yeah, we'll talk again. We'll confer with the rest of the captains, and we'll maybe even put it out to the fans. We'd love to hear your perspective. I know we went a little bit different in terms of our typical format, but we promise we're not going to just talk about Fantasy Comics League every week. This was an important first step because it's important to memorialize the front runner being the front runner. But take another bow, talk a little bit more shit, Kia, if you must.
I mean, it's so hard, I just tried to eat some humble pie and I just spit it all up because what's humble really? But I'm sorry. I'm sorry I killed it. I'm sorry that, the black team only has 1 point. I'm sorry that I'm going to keep on killing it. And just want to say good luck next time.
Wow.
Kia, have you ever seen Conor McGregor's speech when he won the double belt?
No, but I will look it up and then I will recite it later.
Okay.
I'll make a whole video.
He's like, I like to shit talk a lot of people in this thing, like you come for the best, you come at the best, I will beat you, but the shit talking, I feel like I've done too much. And so I'd like to take this moment to apologize To absolutely nobody. The double belt champ does whatever the fuck he wants. And he was the first person in the UFC to have ever won 2 belts in 2 different categories at that time. So he was just like ego high. Came in a suit that had pinstripes that was just fuck you.
Ooh. Ooh, I think I need to go get a new suit with pinstripes.
Here's what you need. You need to find a Conor McGregor suit and just Photoshop your face on it. And
I think so. I think that's happening.
yeah, so Kia McGregor.
I think I'm changing my name on Discord.
But we enjoyed having you here this week. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, and listeners, hopefully you enjoyed taking us into your homes this week. And we're gonna come at you with a different racial draft goodness for these next couple weeks, and hopefully you'll enjoy the ride. Hopefully you're following us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, I'll start pushing out those FCL recaps. And I'm going to be soliciting some more feedback from you guys as far as which teams you're looking forward to, which players, characters you're expecting to do big things in these next couple weeks. And maybe some characters that didn't get drafted this time out that you'd like to see drafted from the various delegations in the coming season.
Oh, and Mike, I just want to add one quick thing. You guys can also find aka the winner on Instagram, Kia B-ism. Winning is part of Kia B-ism, just in case you guys did not know. It's a thing. If you guys want to be a part of it, you guys want to feel it, I can guide you in the right direction. So find me on Instagram and I'll teach you how to be a winner.
Nice.
All right.
And what about you, Sean? Give them your socials.
So you can find the Fantasy Comic League on Twitter at Fantasy Comic LG, because we couldn't fit league into the word. And we've also got fantasycomicleague.com, where we put up weekly updates starting next month with DC as well as Marvel.
Nice. And anywhere else?
No, we just focus on Twitter and the main site.
Okay, I thought you guys had a podcast.
We do have a podcast, but we haven't had a podcast in a long time. And it's going to be like a live stream through Twitter is what Brian wants to do.
All right, well, keep us posted and we'll signal boost that. We here at Racial Draft, we're racial.draft on Instagram. We're Racial Draft Pod on Twitter. And we're Facebook page, Racial Draft. We're here. We're ready to hear your feedback. We're hoping that you will listen, share, give us, any kind of perspective. We're still a relatively new podcast, even though we've been going at this for a few months now. And we're always looking to change. We're always looking to tweak things. We will accept your feedback we will read your feedback live on the air if you send it to us throughout the show. We will check out iTunes and the other podcast platforms for that kind of feedback. Email us at racialdraftpodcast@gmail.com. We'll read that. And we're always looking to try to improve the product. We can't be what we want to be without you. So this is me signing off. Till next time, all things are possible.
When